Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. Josh Lander here. Going to be looking at an 8-game slate on Wednesday night in the NBA with you here in just a moment. Also going to be looking at how we did last night real quick and the full set of picks that I have on the NBA Coast to Coast podcast over on thelines.com's YouTube page with my co-host Nate Weitzer. Check those out. We are riding high up 11.5 units right now on the season. Let's take a quick look at the picks that we have on the slate total from that video. I'm going to be offering you guys a few other things here on top of the picks that we've got right now. 8 of them, 4 best bets, 4 player props for Wednesday. We got the Raptors plus 4.5, the Kings money line at minus 110 against the Lakers, Boston and Philly to go under 226 points, the Luka, Kyrie, and Dallas money line same game parlay. We got Luka 25 plus points, Kyrie 20 plus points, and Dallas to win that game against the Wizards for an SGP of about plus 126 on FanDuel is where I took that. Devin Booker over 25.5 points. Nate likes that pick, as all 3 guys on the Suns are going to finally be playing together in their game against the T-Wolves. De'Aaron Fox over 26.5 points against the Lakers. Max Strus under 14.5 points for the Cavs, finishing up a road trip here. And Kyle Kuzma and the Wizards back from that Dallas game, over 23.5 points for Kuz. Those are all the bets from the NBA Coast to Coast podcast. Make sure, like I said, you check that out so you can get the full analysis from Nate and myself. I'm going to go into the show record here for you guys and just show you that yesterday, if you're following along, hopefully you were, and you're liking and subscribing to the page here on Land Your Bets on the YouTube page and following along on the Spotify or Apple Podcast, wherever you're listening to this on audio. Wednesday player props 2-0 plus 1.8 units. Thank you to Reggie Jackson and also to Karl Anthony Towns for getting their props over 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists for RJax, and over 8.5 boards for Cat, who had a really nice game. That was turned into a WWE match between the Wolves and the Golden State Warriors, which I was at last night. It was a sight to behold. But the only best bet we got wrong was that newbie chalky bet with the Denver Nuggets that I took at -6 and told you guys to take, and that's my bad. 0-1, lost a unit on it. Not going to cry too much about it. I don't know where the Clippers came from in that sense. Like Harden and Kawhi were fine, but we press on 75 and 69. Nice on the season, plus 11.55 units in the best bets, 37 and 35, Playa props 38 and 34. So we're making our strides here on the Playa props and continuing to feel really good about it. I'm going to add a few bets here to the Coast to Coast podcast. So hopefully you check that out. But if you're just listening to this one, you now know all the Coast to Coast bets, and you also are going to get this ladder play that I'm going to go ahead and put together here for these 2 guys. We've got De'Aaron Fox over 26.5 points, as well as a little ladder to 30 plus points. So I'm going to split a full unit. I'm going to take the full unit and split it as 0.75 for D Fox on over 26.5 points. That's his core line there. So we're going to take that with 3/4 of a unit. And then we're going to put a quarter unit on D Fox to also get 30 plus in this one at plus 165. And this is a great matchup, man, against the Lakers, who cannot guard the point guard position and haven't been able to since last season. And last season they were better. Last season they had Dennis Schroeder, really solid point defender, as well as Pat Bev. We know what he's capable of when it comes to being a pest on defense. Neither of them could limit De'Aaron Fox, as he got 30 plus points in 4 of his last 5 against them, 3 of 4 last season. Now we've got D'Lo guarding him, and we saw what happened in the first game of this series this season in October, when De'Aaron Fox went for 37 and 8 assists against the Lakers, predominantly being guarded by Gabe Vincent, who's also not available in this one. So now it's going to be D'Lo, Austin Reeves, maybe some Cam Reddish. All 3 of those guys have 117 defensive rating individually. That's partly why the Lakers give up the 7th most points per game. 2 point guards. De'Aaron Fox is this young, still young, honestly. I think he's 26, might be 25 still. Very fast, possibly the fastest player in the NBA. Probably the best point guard in transition right now, getting out on the break and getting to the rim. And the Lakers are an old team that are coming off the second leg of a back-to-back. I don't really feel good about their ability to stay in front of Fox. I think he's going to get his. So we got the little ladder play there for Mr. Fox. And then another little baby ladder for Kyle Kuzma as well. I mean, if you got to love Kuz's usage, if you're tracking him for things like fantasy basketball, for making bets, dude just gobbles up usage. 36% in his last game out, where he got over 30 in that one. So we're going over 23.5 for Kuz against the Dallas Mavericks in a game that has a total of like 245. 0.8 units for him to go over 23.5, because I want to take 0.2 units and ladder it up to 30 plus points for Kuz at plus 270 on FanDuel. If we win all of that, we should be up a solid 3 units on that bet. So 3.5, excuse me. 36 and 30 points respectively last year against Dallas. When he played them, the second time that he played them, they had just gone through that trade. That means there was no Dorian Finney-Smith anymore on the team, and a few other guys that were very important as to their defense and wing defense as well. And that's why Kuzma just ate him up at that point for the 36 points in that game. Dallas is still allowing, and since that time, and now moving forward into this season, Dallas allows the most points per game to power forwards. That's what happens when you trade away your entirety of your front court and wing depth for Kyrie Irving. Is you turn into a team that averages 124 points a game and also gives up roughly 120 points per game as well. This one has a total of 245.5. You got to get a piece of it somehow. There's a blowout factor, although I will say Washington won all 4 games against the Mavs last year, over the last 2 years now. They've won the last 4 against Dallas when they play in that cross-conference matchup. Not saying they have their number. This is a different Wizards team to a degree. Still doesn't play very much defense. So Luka should eat. I do think that Dallas wins this game. Shout out Chris B. Kappen. That's my buddy. If you don't know Chris, definitely follow him on Twitter and on YouTube. Hosts like a live show every day as well on Twitter and on YouTube. Like, great dude. Found an awesome stat where Luka, since he joined the Mavs after a loss of 20 points or more, when they're favored in the next game, they are 12-0 against straight up and 11-1 against the spread. So I do think they continue that streak with Luka winning, helping them win this game against a Wizards team that is just really not trying on defense. And if they are, it's just a sort of knock against their ability at this point. But we are going to move on here, and I'll just review the Wednesday. Well, I'm going to finish up here for you guys and just review the Wednesday's best bets real quick. De'Aaron Fox, like I said, little ladder there, over 26.5 points with 0.75 units, 30 plus points, 0.25 units. And then Kyle Kuzma, over 23.5 points on his core line, as well as 30 plus points with a 0.2 units on that, so that you can get a little bit of a ladder for him to do really well in this game and get a ton of points. So that is all the time I have for you guys in this one. Continue to follow along. Check out the Coast to Coast podcast on thelines.com, on the Lines YouTube's page. That is where Nate and I bring all of our picks each and every day. I'm trying to get stuff out to you early when I can. I was at that Warriors game last night, so I'm only getting this video out to you guys right now, but hopefully you can make a little bit extra on top of what we make on the Coast to Coast podcast by laddering these picks I have for you guys right here. Like I said, please follow along. If you would subscribe to the page, it's super helpful. Maybe drop a like on the video. Give me a comment if you don't even agree. I don't care. Just let's get into this conversation and talk about it. And until I see you guys next, happy betting.